using the LLM to generate a representation of your organization's data.
Yeah.
Okay. That was the first step. What was the next step? And oh, by the way, there's a clock ticking because baby's coming. Paternity leave is going to happen. I remember talking to Stefan around this. He's like, yeah, we really need to download. He doesn't talk like this at all, but we really need to download Derek's brain because he's going to disappear. And if he does, we're in trouble.
And if it's only one thing that I love more than work, and it's my family.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
Where, oh, where are you tonight? Why did you leave me in red on my phone? I searched the world over and thought I found true love. You met an AI and poof, you was gone.
Hi there, I'm Jeff Pennington, and this is You Teach the Machines. No MJ this episode. She'll be back for our next episode, an interview with a remarkable guest we can't wait for you to hear from. This episode is an interview with Derek Luos of commercial pour-over coffee machine manufacturer Pour Steady. The episode is special, a shining example of a couple of things I'm certain of. First, I'm certain AI will only succeed when it is targeted, local, and taught by experts to do useful, focused work. Big AI wants us to believe value comes from their massive general-purpose machines, but in this episode you'll hear otherwise. Second, I am also certain that when you tackle these technologies with your eyes wide open, have confidence to act and use your own data and expertise to teach tools available today, you can create value. And oh, by the way, you're worried about water and electricity? Take a look at your screen time. Every scroll on every social media site sets off literally hundreds of AI models desperately evaporating water just to keep you scrolling. Contrast that with what Pour Steady is doing, creating high-quality, skilled manufacturing jobs in Brooklyn, New York, something we've all been told is impossible. During this visit, I spoke with Lindell, who's been working at Pour Steady for about a year. He's a manufacturing technician, assembling and testing these beautiful coffee machines that ship all over the world. He grew up nearby and now has a great job in his hometown. AI is a supporting character in this story, but an important one. You'll hear Derek's story of augmenting Pour Steady's customer support, so Pour Steady has more room to hire skilled employees like Lindell to launch their newest products. This episode is why I wrote my book, You Teach the Machines. We can pull our hair out about the truly harmful effects of big AI, and we can move forward and put AI to use for good. It's a dialectical. I hope you find this useful. Thanks for listening.
So now they're going to be unscrewing it. They're going to get this. And this would have been me like either sitting here waiting for an email back or doing something else. And then this would have been like an hour or two exchange after the boot and home.
Hey everybody, you just listened to a really compelling experience that I had that was serendipitous. The last time I was visiting the Steady Equipment Corporation, Pour Steady, Derek Luos, who I'm joined by here today.
Hey, how's it going?
Came and grabbed me and said, hey, it's happening. And what was happening was a live interaction between a Pour Steady customer who has installed two of Pour Steady's robotic pour-over coffee machines and the AI agent that Derek implemented. I hesitate to call it an agent because to me it seems like it's a composite of all sorts of different, sort of factors that come together to provide a satisfying customer service experience. Is that fair?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. But before we keep talking about that, we'll get back to it. I'll quickly say, hey, this is your host, Jeff Pennington. This is You Teach the Machines. And joined by Derek Luos from Steady Equipment Corporation, Pour Steady. And we're gonna get the full story on how a relatively small business, successful business, has really scaled without massive investments of capital and scaled to the benefit of employees and customers. And the person who really was the fulcrum and the lever to get this work done is Derek. Would you mind telling us about yourself?
Yeah, totally. So Derek Luos, I've always really kind of been into building out different systems and procedures, kind of a aspiring entrepreneur here in New York City. And I like building up a whole bunch of different businesses. I have a spice business over at ActionReserve.com, We also have, I also do like a little bit of consultancy with other businesses to help them get set up for different systems, processes, and even integrating some AI stuff. And, all of this is so new that I'm just kind of staying like 2 steps in front of everyone else while they're learning. So I'm also learning when everyone else is learning, and it's kind of great because it creates this awesome feedback loop between everyone where that like aha moments are all captured live when we all figure it out together. Like, oh my God, this is what works. This is what we need to do.
You've built a community.
Exactly. Yeah.
So some of the aha moments that you've had here, you can share that with others that you've worked with on your consulting gigs?
Oh, totally, 100%. And like vice versa as well, that I'll be working with, someone and we might discover something that helps someone else out. And, that's the fun thing I see a lot for like business, and it kind of relates a lot to like AI development as well.
Yeah.
Is that everyone always like talks about like, oh, it's competition. But it's way more about like people actually just wanting to help each other out and everyone kind of growing together.
Do it, share it, right? Because the use of the tool is not for a non-native AI business. The use of the tool is an enabler. It's not core to product or profit necessarily.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, it's very, if what you're working with isn't unique about you and your business, then it's not going to work. Like you might as well just do like drop shipping like everyone else where it's just templated,
Right.
This is building out a uniqueness about what makes your business, what makes you actually work.
How old are you?
I am 34.
Okay. I'm 52. And you're in 2026 experiencing change that I experienced when I was about in 1999, 2000, when I was about 27, so about 8 years younger than you are. And it's this may sound graybeard, which is appropriate because my beard is gray, but seeing you and your peers pick up a new tool set that you don't know, but you also don't know not to pick up this tool set, right, is really heartwarming. So I was there at the birth of the internet and the World Wide Web and websites and e-commerce and search and e-commerce and all of these things that, you don't have a memory of being without.
Right.
And the availability of AI technologies to you at this point in your career is really exciting, and you're gonna build the rest of your career and your life with this. And why one of the reasons I love spending time with you is how positive and constructive you are. I won't even say optimistic, but positive and constructive. Like, okay, there's good here. I'm gonna construct that good and make it happen, right? So it's this is a little bit of like a generational waxing of just warm, like give me a warm fuzzy. So I just wanted to share that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. How long have you been at Poor Steady?
I've been at Poor Steady for a little over 4 years now.
Okay.
And started off just kind of as the lead manufacturing technician.
What does that mean?
That meant that I was doing both physically building the Poor Steady machines.
Describe a Poor Steady machine to our listeners.
Oh yeah, so there are these really cool automated pour-over coffee machines.
Yeah.
Where you don't need to be the master barista to make the perfect cup of coffee. You just pre-program the recipe. You press the button and it starts pouring. In fact, during my interview here with Stefan, the first thing he came in, he's like, all right, make a pour over coffee. And before that, my experience with coffee was a vending machine in a hydrogen fuel cells factory where I pressed the button and some sludge came down. I'm like, well, I got a 10-hour shift, so I'm going to need this. So Stefan, who was the CEO at the time, who's now heading up the engineering department here at Poor Steady.
He demoted himself.
He demoted himself so that he could focus on what he loved to do.
What he's good at.
Oh, yeah.
And the last time I saw him, that decision had been made but not enacted upon. And when I came in today, it was really nice because he's lighter.
Oh, yeah. No,
Yeah.
he's having a great time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what Stefan asked you when you were interviewing, make a pour over.
Make a pour over.
Okay.
And I'm like, I don't know how to do that. I don't even know what a pour over is at this point.
So you weren't like a longtime coffee drinker?
I enjoyed a bad cup of coffee at a diner at 3:00 in the morning.
Amen.
So,
you know what? There's a cup of coffee for every occasion.
Absolutely there is. Yeah.
So how'd that go? Did you make a cup of pour over?
So he told me how to use the machine, and I made the grounds. I put it into the hopper. I pressed the button for the pre-programmed recipe, and it was the best cup of coffee I ever had in my life.
It's really good. When I drink it, it's almost like it's not even coffee. It's more of a sensory, well-rounded food experience.
Oh yeah.
And I'm struggling for words, right? But I'm not the kind of person who is going to say it has notes of cherry and licorice and tobacco and that kind of stuff. But like, even though I don't have the words for it, that's the kind of stuff that's going on because of how this pour over method pulls flavor and makes flavor available from really good coffee.
Oh yeah.
I will say that I've always been a fan of Pour Steady because, have you ever experienced a Blue Bottle coffee shop?
Yes, I have. I've experienced that line.
That line. I was in San Francisco and I really wanted a cup of coffee, and the only thing I could find, it was in the ferry terminal, was a Blue Bottle shop, and the line was just ridiculous. And God bless the baristas making pour over at Blue Bottle. Okay, fine. But and there were people who were willing to wait in line for that.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't. So never mind.
And I do think that that's their whole marketing, is that it's coffee so good you will wait in line for it. And 100% true. Like Blue Bottle has amazing coffee.
Yep.
The Pour Steady is this coffee is so good and you don't have to wait in line for it.
Don't have to wait in line for it. Yeah. So you got the job. Right?
I got the job.
And so you went from hydrogen fuel cells.
I went from hydrogen fuel cells to getting my master's degree in religious anthropology to doing home renovations here in New York City during the pandemic.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Swinging hammer?
Swinging hammer, painting, everything. It was just me, my little rolling husky bag, and taking the train everywhere. And one time I had a door that I had in the subway that I installed these doors, and I'm just holding it up, and I'm about maybe like a month into moving, because I was moved from JC, Jersey City, over during the pandemic to Brooklyn, and this is like one of my first subway experiences, and I'm just holding this door in here, and that's what I saw everyone else in New York, because I felt so bad and awkward, and no one cared whatsoever. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? This is the New York subway experience. Yeah, so I got to be that subway story.
the like backdrop to somebody's New York subway was you with your tools and a door.
I'm sure I'm on a People of New York like post somewhere on Instagram.
I'm sure you are too. Yeah. The hydrogen fuel cell company, what did you do there?
Oh, so I was a technician there where I was building out the physical stacks for the hydrogen fuel cells, which is what helped to convert the hydrogen into energy. Yep. And this was for, they were called Plug Power at the time, they're now called Plug. And they did like all the Amazon warehouses, all of the Walmart warehouses, really, really big company, amazing technology. In fact, during I left right before the pandemic. Yeah. And when I was talking to my old coworkers, like they were going gangbuster because every single one of these forklifts are just run off of this tech.
Right. Got it. So the religious anthropology studies, was that like a lifelong, I got to do this, or was it more of a inspiration at that moment? You're like, oh my God, I got to do this.
Definitely inspiration at that moment. I 100% have that feeling. One, I love doing everything. And two, if I just have a feeling like I got to do this, I'm doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And kind of circling a little bit back to like the AI stuff. Yeah. That's exactly how I picked up on all of this, because my wife, love her so much. She's the one who actually like really told me about like ChatGPT. Right. Because she like loves like different like fantasy worlds, exploring, like she's a writer. Yeah. And she came up to me, she's like, hey,
I didn't know that. Writer.
Oh yeah, writer. She's working on a lifelong like book that she wants to like for like a children's adventure book. And we'll get into a bit of that later.
Okay. We come back around.
We're going to come back to
part
that.
Of the story.
But she turns around to me and she says like, "Hey, I'm playing with this cool like AI thing." Yeah. And I'm like, AI, like, what are we talking about? Like iRobot? Is this like
Killer Robots, Terminator,
exactly, Terminator, all of them.
Yep.
And she's like, no, it's cool. I'm making a make your own adventure book with it, where it's like, I'm sure like listeners, if you're aware of, you remember them, it was like one of those like.
Do you remember these?
I love these when I was a kid.
All right, great.
Just like like turn to page 47 when you make a decision, and then like going through.
So you get to a point of departure in the plot where you can choose to, go into the dark cave and see what's in there, or you can, turn around and go under the waterfall.
Yeah.
Right. You make a choice. You're choosing your own adventure. Right? And I'm having to restate this because some of our listeners are young enough that this wasn't even a thing for them, which maybe that'll make you feel old instead of just me feeling old.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah. Great. So she was making a choose your own adventure book with ChatGPT. Yeah. She was able to convince you that it wasn't the Terminator and Killer Robots.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, that's a cool toy. And that's kind of the way I just saw it, was like, oh, that's neat. Like, yeah, we're making, like, it's a fun interactive thing. And then, I'm just sitting, and I'm someone who, like, goes to bed at, like, 2 o'clock in the morning, like, every night. And
is it really 2 or is it later?
Sometimes it's later. It was 3 o'clock in the morning yesterday, but I was really getting into, like, just evolved into, like, making a workflow.
Okay.
And I'm like, you know what? Why don't I download it? And then I start messing around with it, and I start playing with it.
So this was like spring of 23?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm just like, and everything kind of starts to like click off in my mind. Like, what can I do with this for these like already kind of existing a bit, those like load, no code, like API call stuff?
Yep.
And I'm thinking of like, how can I plug this into like workflows that I'm building for fun because I'm a nerd. And I just like, I might not even have a purpose. And I'm like, I just want to see if I can build this automation pipeline that's like using Google App scripts for things.
Okay. Got it. So you started playing. It was a toy for your workflows that didn't do anything necessarily earth-shattering.
Exactly.
I don't mean to sort of understate what they were or anything like that.
No, that's 100% what it was. Like
okay.
This was like a tinker toy almost to me. Yeah, or doing like Lego like kinetics or something like that.
Oh my God, I would have hired you in a friggin' heartbeat. In my last job, our best interview question, the one that was the most highly predictive of somebody being successful in our organization, was, what do you do with technology when you're not being paid? And it's that curiosity, it's that tinker toy, it's I wonder if, how does this work? So anyway, that's a quick aside. I would have hired you in an instant.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. So this was academic hobby, right?
Yeah.
And you started working at Poor Steady. You started as a manufacturing technician. What was a day like?
So at that time, it was mostly I would come in, I would look at the work orders, and then I would help make the decisions for the rest of the technicians' teams to be like, hey, what are we all going to focus on? Okay. Where we would have one employee would be building the rails that allows the nozzle to move back and forth on the Poor Steady.
Right.
Someone else would be like, doing some of the soldering on the buttons. I would be slapping the machines together, getting them ready for testing. Okay. And then I'd also be like setting up some of the like reports that head up to the operations team, which is Kate McDougall, who's director of operations, still director of operations.
Yeah, Kate is very understated and also influential.
Oh yeah. If you want something to get done, you go through Kate.
Yeah,
100%. Love them very much. They are an inspiration to work with.
Yeah, they are. So those reports became something that. Did you pick those up, or had somebody else been doing that?
So Haley was doing it a little bit. Who was like the OG worker, like was the only one like making machines during the pandemic. Yeah. And then they're also a phenomenal artist, and they wanted to focus more on their art. So that's kind of why my position opened up.
Got it.
And they also, because of the expansion for PS2, they wanted someone who had a manufacturing background.
What's the PS2? We don't use acronyms here on You Teach the Machines.
Sorry, the Poor Steady 2.
Which is a
2-cup inline boiler Poor Steady, where you don't need a boiler underneath the counter. You can just plug water right into this machine. It doesn't need to connect to internet. The water will be heated based on what you set the temperature to, so you're not stuck at like 96 degrees like you are with so many other like coffee machines or espresso machines.
Yep. Okay. So Haley's off doing art, God bless, and the reporting out of the manufacturing process became something that you're doing. So you started to work with data integral to Poor Steady's production and fulfillment.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And I've always been really into Excel, Google Sheets. Like, that's probably when, people say, like, what part of your job brings you the most joy? It's honestly making a good spreadsheet that's automated with a lot of back-end code. Even in grad school, I was TAing, and my professor was making a they were doing something different because it was COVID, where they were having students like get points instead of going from 100 and going down.
Yeah.
It was how to get to 100, and there was 150 points you can get. So if you didn't want to do something, you didn't have to.
Yeah.
And it was all laid out in the beginning, all the points.
I like that.
Yeah, Angela Zito, she's the head of the religious studies department. She is an amazing
Where?
person
What
to
school?
work with. NYU.
Okay. I gotta actually write that down. I taught a class in January, and the one thing I really struggled with was like grading.
Oh yeah, I still have the spreadsheet. I can send it to you.
Would you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Get to 150 points. So you accrue toward
Exactly.
your grade. All right.
Yeah.
You got to be careful with me about asides and segues or asides.
Fair.
So you're working with these spreadsheets.
And I'm now starting to automate them just with like inline codes through like Excel that's going like, hey, like pull this data from here. If I press this, automate this, break this part into a whole bunch of small parts so I know how many I need to do.
Macros. And
Exactly. And that's all this is.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did you start getting involved in direct interaction with customers?
So that happened when one of our developers who was in charge of support at the time, he ended up having a accident where he ended up hurting his leg.
Yeah.
And he couldn't come into the office, had a lot of physical therapy.
Okay.
And so during the beginning of it, they asked me to start helping out with some of the registrations from Poor Study and doing a little bit of the baseline support stuff.
Okay. And then that grew over time.
And that grew over time, yeah.
Right.
When we started doing the software development for the Poor Study 2, that developer who was doing support was now starting to build the software for the Poor Study, which meant because I had some experience from picking up a bit of the support, it then went on my plate.
Right.
In addition to building machines and helping to run the manufacturing department.
So you were able to, at that time, carry a pretty big load.
Yeah.
Right.
And leverage your promotion to the manufacturing operations manager.
Well done.
Thank you.
Always advocate for yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When you're doing two jobs, get promoted.
Yep.
You still have two jobs. But now you're promoted.
Oh, yes.
So you were doing a lot, just very, sort of understated. And the real sort of evolutionary pressure came about when what happened?
So this was about like a year or so of like heavy support work.
Yeah.
And I go home, and me and my wife, we always wanted a family.
Yeah.
And one day we went out for hot pot, and we were sitting there, and I was about maybe half a thing of sake in, and I turn around to my wife, and I'm like, okay, October of next year, we're gonna try for a kid.
All right.
And so we did, and we were, getting ready to have our kid.
Uh-huh.
And it was delivery date was in August
of 24
of 2025.
25 last August.
So last August.
Okay.
And it then became a deadline of when Derek goes on paternity leave, what's going to happen to support and all of the knowledge that he holds in his head? Because up until this point, there were support documents. There was a bunch of things that people can access to send to customers. But what a lot of the folks had who were ready, like Kate, Travis, even Stefan, what they all were able to help with support, but they weren't there building all of the machines, troubleshooting the machines.
Yeah.
Testing, knowing exactly if one error code gets put up, what 20 parts is affected by that error code.
Mm-hmm. Upstream of the error code.
So the whole idea was, how can we download Derek's brain into something to help for support?
Because Derek is about to go
on paternity leave.
So this is the segue to the AI part, right? So that was a whole preamble, right? When I met you, I think due date was when? Was it October?
No, it was in August.
August.
Yeah.
I think I met you last spring or early summer.
We first met was the virtual call.
Yes.
When we were looking into Intercom when you were first writing your book.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So I was first writing my book. So we might have met fall or early
It was
winter of 24, 25.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think it was January or February.
Yeah. I was.
So about a year ago.
Yeah. How about that? I was well into writing the book, You Teach the Machines AI in Your Terms. And Stefan was like, hey man, we're trying to get this customer service automation stuff going, and things aren't going that smoothly. And my takeaway from that interaction was, in some ways, I was like a group therapist. Yeah. Like there were like 3 people on the call, just like, I don't know, we don't know, we got to figure this out, but like we don't know. And we talked through a lot of different things, and there were some discussions about which vendor to go with, which vendor to not go with. I think you were already using Intercom.
We had the subscription, and we didn't touch it for several months.
Yep.
Because the person who was originally in charge of the project, he left the company.
Yep, that's right.
So it kind of got passed around.
Yep.
And we were not really knowing. I mean, again, I was playing with like AI stuff for just like quick generative things, or just, a very simple workflow.
Right.
And our machines are very complicated to support. And we were talking about doing just like a path chart. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you remember this.
I do. That's right.
Yeah.
It was, if the light is blinking, then try turning it on and off. If that doesn't work, then, it was a very deterministic sort of logic driven, but the machine is not that simple.
No, kind of felt like we were working on a make your own adventure.
Choose your own adventure.
Yes.
God.
And I remember exactly what you said to me, which was kind of the aha moment in learning this, was, okay, so where's the AI? Where is the large language model that you're working with? Because what you're describing, that's not AI.
Yeah.
So we went back to the drawing boards and reevaluated Intercom.
Yeah.
And this time the project was no longer something for me to consult on.
Right.
This then became, Derek, this is now your project. You own this. Figure it out. And I jumped right in, and I realized, I'm like, this was 100% the right choice to go with Intercom for what we need to do.
And my recollection is Stefan had chosen Intercom not necessarily because of the AI functionality, FinAI, that sort of thing, but it was good workflow, customer experience management, that sort of stuff.
And also just legacy, looking into the actual history of the company, like what they've done, who they partnered with. Mm-hmm. So knowing that this wasn't going to be something we had to change in 2 years when all the VC funding left.
Right. My memory is not what it's never been great. But I do remember that. You guys walked me through all of what you were trying to do, and it was a ton of, decision flow diagramming and deterministic rules, with deterministic meaning like you can only take, you have to take a path through this series of connected steps, and you can get to a fixed number of outcomes, and that's it, right? And if you fall outside of that, you're off the rails and good luck, right?
Yeah.
So I do. It's interesting that you remember that, because I remember like you guys don't need me. It's like if you're gonna do flow charts, like where's the AI? And we did discuss like, well, what is AI in this sense? Yeah. And it's very much like an algorithm learns by example to help you with suggest a likely outcome or a likely next step, or likely meaning like the most probable next step, right? Instead of like, it's either A or B, pick one, which is what the original project was. So you started in on that. I don't know a ton about Intercom and FinAI's history, but I'm going to guess their product was very much like in flight, and they were working on it at the same time you were starting to adopt it. Is that fair?
Yeah, they had a bit into it. I think they were kind of on their second iteration when we were jumping into it.
Right.
But
this was spring of 25.
Yes.
Yeah. Jesus, stuff goes so friggin' fast.
It really does.
So it's been 3 years since you were, your wife was doing Choose Your Own Adventure, and 3 years since I was at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, and everybody around me was losing their minds.
Yeah.
Freaking out about this stuff. Yeah. So, what?
But circling back into when I was realizing why Intercom was such a good choice, because I was going through their training modules and I was reading about it, and I realized why we were trying to make that like path A, path B, and not doing the AI part of it.
Right.
And it was a matter of we didn't trust the technology yet. We were thinking there's no way that this an AI could be able to give good support on this kind of machine.
Yeah.
And it was in these training modules where they were saying us that this technology is only as good as your data set. This technology is only as good as what you feed to it.
My man, learn by example.
And that's exactly what it was. So then it no longer was a question of, do I trust AI?
Yeah.
But it was, do I trust my source material?
Oh my God, I'm so happy. I couldn't have put it better. Garbage in, garbage out.
Which then made me go through...
Wait, are you saying you teach the machines?
You teach the machines. And we have 10 years of information to teach the machines. We're basically able to take this and give it a high school diploma with the amount of information that we have.
Poor Steady, this is, I'm speaking directly to you, the listener. Poor Steady had kept really good records, right? Massive Google Sheets, all the email. Stuff well organized in the sense that there were cross-referenceable codes and tags between things, consistent use of nomenclature and vocabulary. I'm not saying this was like structured data. This was not data in a database, but it was a lot of data that was very representative of the detailed underpinnings of this business.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it became, how do I organize this and teach the machine with everything that we have?
Right.
Which, honestly, the best way that it was to collect the data and then feed it into other AIs, whether if we were going into Claude or ChatGPT or DeepSeek or any of them.
Yeah.
You know, pick your choice, pick your player. But we fed what we wanted to through these other models, and we were like, what am I describing? And we let the AI turn around and say like, oh, you're trying to do this. If they got it right, we knew that, hey, we can then use this as a knowledge base to help start building out Intercom for what we want it to do.
So if I can restate, your first step toward actually an objective outcome of a high-performing customer interaction agent, right? I use bot to talk about this stuff. It's my shorthand.
Fair.
But
I like bot.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. You were trying to get to a customer service bot, right? And I'll just reinforce that Poor Steady is nothing if not extremely customer obsessed. Yes. Okay. So this wasn't going to ever be some annoying chat window named like, Paul or Polly or whatever.
We were actually thinking about naming it Bruce.
Bruce. Okay.
BREW. That went out the window. It's called Poor Steady Support Bot.
Your first step toward that as the objective outcome, which is really important in AI machine learning, is you have to know what high performing is. You have to know whether you got something right or not. You can't just sort of like put a bunch of stuff in a pot and hope for the best and then just dump that out and call it AI. Like you've got to have an objective outcome. You have to have metrics. They don't have to be hard, like, plus or minus metrics, but you have to have an idea of what high performing is. So your first step toward that was to take the historical data, production, customer support emails, bill of materials, parts manifests. And I could imagine you were also documents where people described stuff that went right, went wrong, specifications, all of that. And you put that into a generic LLM, large language model, no acronyms, and said, hey, what is this? And if it got it right from your own expertise, then you could assume in that case it was able to represent the characteristics of all of that data, the dimensionality and all of the different sort of aspects of it, the threads that it was woven of, right? And that meant that you had the data re-represented as a knowledge base, not a database. You didn't, put all this stuff into rows and columns. But you're using the LLM to generate a representation of your organization's data.
Yeah.
Okay. That was the first step. What was the next step? And oh, by the way, there's a clock ticking because baby's coming. Paternity leave is going to happen. I remember talking to Stefan around this. He's like, yeah, we really need to download. He doesn't talk like this at all, but we really need to download Derek's brain because he's going to disappear. And if he does, we're in trouble.
And if it's only one thing that I love more than work, and it's my family.
Yes.
So
Amen.
I'm not picking up the phone.
No. Well, and also you're a New York State resident. That paternity leave is a state benefit.
Oh, yeah.
What happens if they catch you, checking Slack or taking calls?
Fraud. If I'm collecting money through paternity leave, that's fraud on my end. Poor Steady gets in trouble. Like, we all get in trouble. We all go down on the ship.
Right.
So there's disincentives on both sides.
Yeah, you don't want to be checking Slack because baby, wife, family.
Right.
You're very much a family person.
Oh, 100%.
Yes.
I love my little guy.
So that's the pressure. You have a knowledge base, and now what?
So now it's, again, making everything legible for Intercom. And this also includes taking transcripts from our videos, because before this, one of the initiatives that I did working with Holly, who's our marketing coordinator, she's fantastic. She was a photographer who actually started out in manufacturing as well.
Yeah.
And because she was so good with photography, they were like, hey, you know what? We've kind of ignored all of our social media accounts. You want to jump in on this?
I love small companies.
Oh, yeah. No, we're the best.
Yeah.
We are the best.
Yeah.
And I love working here because if you have a passion for something,
right, like
the exec team here at Poor Steady will figure out how can we highlight this passion.
Right. There's plenty of stuff to get done.
Oh, hell yeah. Yes.
And if you're motivated. I also love Holly because every time I show up, she looks at me and I don't know what she's thinking, but I think she's thinking, here's this jackass AI guy again. And I do know that Holly is a skeptic, as all people should be, about AI and what it can do, could do, is doing to us as people, citizens, society, humanity.
Which also, to point out for building out this AI, the integral role having a skeptic is so critical to what you want to do.
Yeah.
Because if you have someone like me who's like a dog with a bone, who's like, I got this thing, I'm going to do everything with it.
Yeah.
Having someone who's a skeptic be like, slow your roll. Do we want to give that to AI?
Who played that part? I know it wasn't just one person.
So Holly definitely, because we're also very close friends also with work. So we would just be like talking like regular people, not even as coworkers, about this stuff.
Yeah,
which would help slow that roll.
Like, hey, are we going to dumb this down? Hey, are we going to is somebody going to get laid off?
Yeah,
because of this.
Or is it going to hurt our brand? Because we've been for 10 years, we are the people who picked up the phone.
Yeah.
Who answered the emails.
Right.
But as we can continue to scale, it's a lot easier to answer the emails and pick up the phone when we had 500 machines, not 1,000 machines.
Where are you at? What's the install base now?
Right now we have 1,465 Poor Steady ones, and we're in I think a little over 235 Poor Steady twos.
So
we're getting close to 2,000.
Yeah. And how many time zones are those machines in?
How many time zones are on the Earth?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're everywhere.
So Dubai.
Oh yeah, we got quite a few in Dubai.
Korea.
Definitely in Korea. They're one of our largest distributors.
South Asia?
South Asia, yep. In fact, I just made a shipment over to Vietnam.
Europe?
Europe, we have one of the best distributors for QPact who lets us go to every single country. In fact, we are having a showcase in Nordic Coffee Fest coming up. So if you're in Scandinavia, go check us out. Go say hi to our friends at Rebel. They are absolutely phenomenal. I love working with the techs and everyone over at Rebel. They are really great, and they're also very excited about this technology too, because with time zone differences, they can get that support while I'm sleeping.
Okay. So you and Holly were speaking about the human impact, the business impact, the brand impact of these tools. So Holly, as a skeptic and your friend, is a very valuable contributor.
Absolutely.
Right.
And then Stefan, who was CEO at the time and also one of the original founders and also on the board, has a very clear vision of what Poor Steady's brand is.
Yeah.
So Stefan was also able to come in and say, this is what the AI can do for our brand. This is what the AI should not do for our brand.
How about an example of what it should not do? So
for example, and this was a conversation Stefan and I had, that I had an idea. I came in with a big presentation about it, and Stefan said, no, that's definitely against our brand. But trying to integrate the AI and Intercom on the app to help with recipe creation.
So the Pour Steady 1, do they both have an app?
Pour Steady 2 app is currently in process. It will have an app.
Yeah.
And it'll be way more robust. But Pour Steady 1 does have an app because it's necessary for the functionality of the Pour Steady.
Right. So you were pitching...
I was pitching for having a co-pilot to help you dial in recipes.
Yeah.
And that completely went against our brand because the whole idea is that the Pour Steady doesn't replace the barista. It's a tool for the barista to use.
Yeah.
You still need someone who understands and loves coffee to be able to dial in a recipe to figure out, hey, these are the notes. The people who are, on the ground floor serving the coffee, they might not necessarily need to know all this information.
Right.
But someone needs to make those recipes.
Yeah.
By having a AI do this, that then kind of goes on to that feeling of taking the jobs. Our information was support, building, making these machines work and making them work the way that they should for your cafe.
Yeah.
And that's what we were focusing on. We didn't want to encroach our brand to something else.
So you were a dog with a bone, which was AI could suggest optimized recipes. Nope, that's not what we're about.
Yep. Exactly.
That's one of my core tenets. One of the central elements of my optimism when I'm not a cynic or a pessimist, which I float between all of these things about this technology, is at its best, it scales expertise. It doesn't replace expertise, it scales expertise. So that barista's expertise gets scaled. More people get great cups of coffee.
Yeah.
And
you don't get carpal tunnel from having to
do the pour over, right? Yeah. So skeptic, brand, you are now on the clock for paternity leave.
Yeah.
Everybody's freaking out because it's all in your brain. You have a knowledge base. What comes next?
So the next part, which is doing some internal testing.
Yeah.
Which is me just communicating with the bot to see if it's answering things correctly. And Intercom's got a phenomenal internal tester where it will, if the more information, the more chat you have, and better yet, the more emails that you have that you didn't have the AI interact with. So say, for example, if I pick something up right away, the AI will log that it did not solve this issue and a human had to. And then during its testing, it will try to answer what it wasn't able to. Yeah. And then you can go, yes, that was good. You did an okay job. This was terrible.
Wow.
And then you'd be able to point it to the right knowledge base. Or rather, it would say, this is the knowledge article that I used. And you can look into it and go like, hey, that's the wrong knowledge article. Is there a correct one? There isn't a correct one. I need to make this because there's a hole in our knowledge base.
Right.
Or it would be, let me edit this to make it a little bit more clear. One thing that I did notice was properly formatting headers was very important.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Because that would actually understand different segment breakdowns.
Oh, so including headers. It's
including headers.
Not like whether you use sans serif or Times New Roman.
This would be like, no, not font, but this would be like header 1 for the actual like title of the article.
Right.
Header number 2 being like, this is the main section. Header number 3, subsections, so that when you're talking with the bot, it doesn't give you a giant like list of like, this is everything you have to do.
Interesting.
It's able to break it down to, first we're going to test the valves. Yeah. Because header 2 was valve inspection.
So that's fascinating. So there's are you familiar with screen readers, that people who basically an adaptive and assistive technology for people who are blind to be able to access text? There's a practice of formatting content with headers that allow a screen reader to read a document to somebody in a rational way, right? Instead of just dumping it all out. Right. So I'm geeking a little bit because those technologies, which aren't necessarily based on transformers to go from text to voice, but they need really good headers too. So the machine needs to be told, it needs some context around these different chunks of knowledge, right? Yes. That help it with some semantics. So going back to this continual learning, so Intercom has structures, constructs, functionality where if what's it called? The Pour Steady support bot?
Yes.
Not Bruce.
Not Bruce, no.
Not Bruce.
Nope.
So when
let everyone knows you were speaking to an AI, to the AI agent,
Yeah.
to the bot, as soon as you first start chatting with it, it says, I'm a Poor Steady like support bot.
Amen.
We want people, we're not pretending that this is a person.
Interesting. So I had a great interaction with one of my favorite other small companies, Bolt Printing. And I've told this story on this podcast before. Have you heard this story?
I have not.
All right. So they do custom screen printing and embroidery. I was ordering these hats actually,
nice.
Which is so I'm holding up the hat which has the boat tractor and boat farmer logo, which is the logo for my other podcast called The Boaty Show. I want to do everything.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, you know that feeling. So anyway, I ended up in a chat window, and I hate chat windows because of my historical experience with these things. And the what I thought was a bot, right? Because it didn't disclose. Like the Poor City bot says, "Hey, I'm a bot. Don't be fooled." There wasn't Bolt's implementation of this chat window didn't have that. And whatever I was interacting with said, "Oh man, that's a great logo." And I was immediately skeptical, right? Oh, this thing's trying to charm me. And so I asked, "Are you a bot?" And I got back 100% no. And I thought that's something a bot would say.
That's something a bot would say.
I said, "If you're not a bot, can I call you?" "Yeah, here's the phone number." And I called, and it was the CEO of the company who takes customer service shifts, and she's the one that's training their agent, their AI agent, because she wants to make sure that her brand is protected.
Absolutely.
But by not disclosing a bot, and I haven't interacted with their customer support in a while, but by not disclosing a bot, I was immediately like, disclosing bot, no bot, right? I was just like, I don't know about this, man. This thing's trying to charm me. This is bullshit. I'm gonna go like Vistaprint. No, I didn't. I love Bolt Printing. Check out Bolt Printing. So knowledge base, you're testing. Intercom FinAI has the capability to pick up on the sort of customer support interactions in the back end are tagged with this was wrong, human had to get in the loop. That becomes a teachable moment for the machine?
Yes.
Okay. And then you described a bit ago that there's an opportunity to actually figure out what the hole in the content, what the incorrect content was, if the customer was asking something in a way that you hadn't anticipated, like that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you can make an incremental improvement.
Yes.
Like, what are some examples of things that you were doing on a regular basis to sort of incrementally improve so that teachable moment, something was learned from that teachable moment?
So a big one actually was that, and it's a little bit embarrassing too, because it was such an obvious thing that we didn't think about it because it was so obvious.
Right.
Where, as I mentioned before, the Poor Steady 1 has an under-the-counter boiler.
Yeah.
The Poor Steady 2 has inline heating. And that's the major difference between our two machines. That's the selling point.
Yeah.
We never told the AI what the difference between these machines were. And I'm sitting there going, why is our AI, why is this bot keep saying to check the boiler when they say they have a Poor Steady 2?
Like, stupid machine.
Stupid machine. Stupid me. I never told it what it was.
You never told it.
My data set wasn't good. Because I had all of these support documents. I took the 10 years of information.
Yeah.
But I never actually told it about our product. I just told it how to fix it.
Yeah.
And so I went in and I contacted Travis, who's, current CEO, but also head of sales and marketing.
Yep.
And I'm like, can I get a copy on the Poor Steady 1 and the Poor Steady 2, how you sell the difference, how you explain the difference to customers.
Right.
Because while I do all of the support and back-end stuff and I do communicate with customers,
yeah,
I also wanted to be able to have the proper copy and terminology when it comes to describing the product.
How the customer's expectations were being set.
Exactly.
Around the difference between the two machines. Okay. So he gave you that copy.
He gave me that copy. I plugged it right in. And then I also took the opportunity to split the bot. So there's actually, and this is kind of getting a little bit into how the sausage is made, is that there are really two different bots set up within our agent.
Yeah.
One specifically for Poor Steady 1.
Yep.
And one specifically for Poor Steady 2.
Okay.
That way, you won't get information or knowledge bases on how to fix Poor Steady 1 when you're talking to Poor Steady 2. So in the pathing, you say, what machine type, like how many cup numbers do you have in stations? Do you have 3, do you have 5, or do you have 2? If you click 3 or 5, it tags, this is a Poor Steady 1. And then it goes to the Poor Steady 1 bot.
Got it. So there's a terminology for this kind of constraint in AI. And I don't want to use too much AI terminology, but the industry right now is saturated with hype and like bros throwing acronyms around. There's this concept called retrieval augmented generation. And what that really means is you constrain what the bot can possibly respond on by telling it what the total collection of information it's allowed to retrieve from is. And it's RAG. RAG gets thrown around all the time. So this is for the listeners to just like, if somebody starts talking about RAG or I'm like, there's some other terms for similar approaches. You can like question whoever's discussing this or like throwing these terms around. And it's good to question people who are throwing these terms around so that you guys can have a much more grounded and outcome based and not just like blah-bitty technology, blah-bitty-blah kind of conversation. That's an aside. You bounded the bot with these two domains of knowledge, one for the Poor Steady 1, the other domain for the Poor Steady 2. That wasn't how you solved this boiler issue though, was it?
By also giving it the product description and then splitting them, this did actually solve the boiler issue.
Okay. So if a customer says, I have a Poor Steady 2, and they start talking about their boiler, because the bot now knows that the Poor Steady 2 doesn't have a boiler, it's going to be like, hey, maybe you should talk to a human.
First, it'll ask the clarifying question of, by boiler, do you mean an under-the-counter boiler? And this actually, the nice thing about Intercom, they have a section where you can have like hard-line questions if something gets asked.
Yeah.
So it can be able to pivot. And it's a very specific what it will like respond back to the customer with. So it doesn't leave it up to a different knowledge base. They will just ask, are you talking about an under-the-counter boiler?
So clarifying question.
Yep.
That's a hardline question you're saying? Or like a hardline
like if
response?
you say, if you are talking about the Poor
I got a boiler. I got a boiler.
Or if you're talking about the Poor Steady 1 and you say the screen's off.
Yeah.
Same thing.
My screen's off.
By screen, do you mean the buttons? And they'd be like, no, the screens. And then it'll be like, okay, just to clarify, do you have a 2-station Poor Steady, or do you have like the under-the-counter boiler? It will then switch back to the other bot to give it the proper, like, okay, and it'll apologize, even though the customer probably typed in the wrong information.
What?
It'll still,
I knew what I was typing.
Exactly. So it'll be like, oh, my mistake. I thought we were talking about a Poor Steady 2, but since you have a boiler, this is a Poor Steady 1. Let me go ahead and reassess.
So it'll ask a clarifying question, potentially multiple, and then it'll on the fly redirect over to the appropriate knowledge base bot, right?
Yep.
Okay. So you've taken your knowledge base, so you had raw data, you used an LLM, a big generic commercial LLM to turn that into a knowledge base. How did you transfer that over to Intercom?
For just moving everything over to the knowledge base or creating this knowledge base?
So you decided that one of these big generic LLMs was doing a good job of answering questions about 10 years of data. Therefore, it was doing a good job of representing this. What was the output of that went into Intercom?
So really, we ended up just taking all of these text files that we'd be able to make and all these step-through workflows, and we would just kind of create, like recopy the document into their formatted document.
Into Intercoms?
Into Intercoms.
Okay.
Which also does have access to, so the way we have it still formulated, kind of like how we used to just send out PDFs for like templated resolutions.
Right.
That also now exists. So if you'll see on the chatbot little citations.
So if you were using ChatGPT to generate the knowledge base, or to
organize it.
Organize it.
So I had a thing, because before I even started doing Intercom, and I was building out the standard operating procedures for repairs.
Yeah.
And one thing that I found a lot easier, instead of typing everything out because that's going to be slow, that's going to take a lot of time, I'm going to be pulled to a different task.
Yeah.
I would just take a audio recording and I would be recording myself explaining how I'm doing something, because I'm a very big, I have to interact to learn.
Right. Yep.
So, say for example, if I was fixing the one of the tilt motors, I would just go like, alrighty, so the first thing that I'm doing right now is I'm removing the side, and from there I'm going to take those 8 screws, put them aside so I don't lose it. I'm going to find the tilt motor, I'm going to unscrew the 2 set screws there, remove the ribbon cable, unplug it from the PCB, and so on and so forth.
You'd record yourself
saying everything.
Yeah.
And then I made a custom GPT where it has about maybe a 20-page instructions on how to convert my transcript into a formatted document.
Okay.
And that's how I made a lot of this.
The knowledge
these
base.
knowledge bases. Before even the knowledge base, this is how I made a lot of the PDFs moving forward when I was taking on support.
Yeah.
To be able to send over, and then I tweaked it to start making it for the knowledge base.
So you started downloading your brain into PDFs using ChatGPT first.
Yes.
Those PDFs became well-organized content that you could feed into Intercom. Mm-hmm. Okay.
But with paternity leave catching up to us.
Yeah. Back to the ticking clock.
Back to the ticking clock. The issue wasn't that we don't have the knowledge readily accessible for everyone to use. The issue was, does the team trust their expertise in applying the correct information in the correct situation?
Okay.
And without spending as much time like I have in both building the machines and diagnosing and repairing, there wasn't as much trust with the individual team members to be able to cover that correctly.
Okay. You now have a reasonably well-taught, well-trained bot that can respond to a customer saying that their screen is broken or their boiler isn't working. You have a whole bunch of content that you've generated that is really you narrating your job and representing your expertise in those narrations. Those have been turned into documents, PDFs. Those have been put into Intercom as well. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So all of that's starting to come together. Your wife is due. Your baby's almost there. Time for the paternity leave. What was the first stress test of all of this?
So the first stress test of all of this was, we're putting it all together. Baby comes 2 weeks early.
So you're not done.
It is midnight on a Tuesday. The kid is due in 2 weeks. And I just want to make this clear as well on this. One thing that we've been saying this entire time, as we were getting closer and closer to the deadline, was if you're not embarrassed of your first release, you've held on to it for too long. So we knew full well going in that this was not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
And we were getting to the point where we were going to do the live test for me to be able to kind of monitor to make sure everything was working correct. And I think this worked out the best. Because the live test was, I couldn't touch it. I broke up my paternity leave into 3 sections. So this was just the first month. I only took off for the first month, and then later on I took more time. It was in the month of August. Actually, really, the end of July, like July 30th. He was supposed to come in August. July 30th. I'm in the hospital sending a Slack message. So yeah, I'm not going to be in for the next month. Intercom's turned on Monday. It's Tuesday night. We just started the stress test, but it was great because we got real data on how it was working, and not me looking at a chat going, oh wait, I can fix that. Oh, well, let me just, hold on, I'm going to interrupt. I don't know. We got a real feedback on if things were working or things weren't for a full month.
So we heard an example at the top of this, the beginning of this discussion, of you having a very measured response as you watched the bot interact with a customer. And you saw over the course of that interaction when it was the appropriate time to jump in. What you just described was maybe you wouldn't have otherwise been able to hold yourself back. You might have jumped in too early. You might not have let the bot actually sink or swim on its own.
Yeah, because again, we had the issue of first even wanting to deploy a real AI,
right? Because
we didn't trust the technology.
Yeah.
So having that experience, there definitely was going to be, going to the religious anthropology, like the anti-deist moment where I would be just pushing the clock hand because I needed to be in control of it. Where now we set up the system, the gears are turning, the clock is moving. Is it keeping the most accurate time? No, but we're within the hour.
That is a friggin' glorious analogy.
Thank you.
That's lovely. And we've have some discussions before about how your religious anthropology studies have actually been great context for all of this work.
Oh, yes.
So it had to sink or it had to swim. Mm-hmm. It had to sink or swim on its own.
Yep.
There was enough going on that there's always enough going on here that when all of a sudden you're out, baby's here, and you're a family man, you're not going to not take paternity leave. You got great data on the native, stand on its own 2 feet, anthropomorphizing this thing, performance of the bot.
Yeah.
You came back from paternity leave. You had all of that data.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
What did you learn? What did you do? What surprised you? What made you slap your forehead and think, why didn't we tell this thing the difference, for example, between the Poor Study 1 and the Poor Study 2, even though you'd already addressed that. But what happened?
Yeah. So first thing I did was I got Kate and Travis into the room when I came back in within the first week. And I asked them, which was hard because they were also like, all right, I'm going to take a vacation, then I'm going to take a vacation.
Yeah.
Because they're burnt out because they're covering, me who's covering like 2+ jobs.
Right.
So they have their 2+ jobs and then covering my 2+ jobs.
Right.
So I got them and they were like, all right, how did it work? I'm dying to know. And their feedback was like, no, it was really good. Like it did well. It answered a lot of questions. I think probably 80% of our support calls have always been my Poor Study doesn't have access to the app, and then giving them the instruction to how to reset the internet.
Yeah.
Because we addressed this a lot better in Poor Study 2 than Poor Study 1, but without a display. Mm-hmm. To reset internet, you have to unplug it from the boiler, hold down station 1 button for 90 seconds until it flashes. So it requires some additional instruction.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of our support tickets. And that's what they got, a lot of it, which was great.
That's an installed base of 1,400 machines.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And this was something that we just send out a PDF and a video for.
Right.
And now the bot's able to break down that PDF into a conversation, which is great.
Yeah.
Because that's also a thing that I noticed too. When you send someone a 4-page PDF on follow these instructions, they're not going to follow the instructions. They're going to follow part of it.
They're in a busy coffee shop.
They're in a busy coffee shop. And they're also, you're holding down station 1 button for 90 seconds while you have a customer yelling about their scone.
Yeah.
It's tough. And it's really tough to service these things in this kind of environment.
I want my scone.
Yeah.
Right now.
Right now.
Okay.
It's like, I want internet right now. So doing a chat is a lot more digestible.
Right.
Which is great.
Interactive. You said a minute ago that you learn when you're interacting.
Exactly.
That's we were talking about this at lunch today. There's so much upside to this technology helping people learn, right? Not replacing them by learning for them, but helping them learn. And, I'll throw stones at some of the big AI companies who are really not breaking down for people these kinds of benefits. They're just throwing it out there, being accountable to their shareholders, and that's it. Maybe they're incorporating erotica into their products. ChatGPT, to increase dependence on their products. Instead of actually, looking at these kinds of human benefits. They're just sort of the pros will figure it out. That was an editorial. I apologize. But it worked out pretty well. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
How'd that make you feel?
That made me feel really good for multiple reasons. One, not just, that intercom, this thing that we put a lot of effort to, a lot of investment.
Yeah.
Both time and capital.
Solid 6-8 months.
Yeah.
Right.
That it worked. It made me realize, and it's always a big stress test. I know, so many books that if you read for, management and things like that, they're like, can your company survive a month vacation?
Yeah.
And it made me realize also that they can survive with me not coming in every day.
Right.
Which is a great feeling. I know a lot of people would go but job security, things like that.
Now, the best people always put themselves out of a job.
Absolutely.
Your job in technology, your job is to put yourself out of a job.
And in fact, that's 2 parts on there. Number 1, I didn't just build this. I also automated my entire day-to-day workflow for managing manufacturing.
Yeah. Where
people were through Google App Scripts, and because we have everything on Google Sheets for doing the Kanbaning, doing our workflow for doing the build process. I automated the whole thing with a press of a button to move things into stage forward.
Right.
So I worked on making my entire job here automated. And I did have fellow coworkers.
Wait, didn't you have to buy SAP and Salesforce to do that?
No, I had Claude running on the side to help me do some vibe coding on base level Google app stuff. And I know a lot of stuff about people going like, oh, vibe coding, like, it's toxic, it's going to destroy everything. If I'm just doing, hey, can you press a button to move data from column A to column B, that is 100% what vibe coding should be done for. That's as much heavy lifting that it can do is a very simple A to B codes.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what this was just changing boxes that I used to have to do manually. And I built out this entire system. I built out a whole bunch of SOPs on how to do my job day to day. I used, Komodo Dex. It's now called Komodo AI, where it's a platform that does, you have your screen, it's a screen record, so you can show how to do things.
Yeah.
And every time you click the mouse, it takes a screenshot.
Mm-hmm.
So you're able to build out these SOPs perfectly.
Right.
And I had a coworker who's like, you're going to automate yourself out of a job.
Yeah.
And I'm like, listen, if vibe coding, ChatGPT, a chatbot, and a bunch of paperwork, PDF files can take my job, my job was never secured. I would always be on the chopping block, because what really is job security is skill level, the ability to think outside the box, the knowledge base that you do have.
So Derek just pointed at his head.
Yeah.
When he said knowledge base.
And most importantly, it's also showing enthusiasm to embrace change and something new. Mm-hmm. So much so that flashing forward to my December review, I went from manufacturing operations manager to being the systems project manager, where not only just managing regular, all the projects that we have here at Port Steady, because, we're still expanding, we're still going strong. We hit 2026, ground running.
Yeah.
But also now I have all the other departments, not just operations and manufacturing and support, being like, hey, can I get this automated? How can we make my job easier like you made your job easier?
Inventory management.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where all of this comes together when it comes to will AI or automation take my job? It will change your job, but it won't necessarily take it.
Right.
It'll take your job if you're refusing to adapt, if you don't want to really change anything, you want to stay how it is, then possibly. But if you're making tires for, horse wagons, and then cars are coming along, you can start making tires for cars.
Yeah. My view on the intersection between government and the corporate world, the business world, and that intersection being at the point of regulation and complexity has evolved. So what's interesting is Port Steady, with you putting yourself out of a job at how many employees?
We're at 8.
8, right? 8. Making a complex electromechanical device that's deployed in every time zone across the world in Brooklyn, right? Mm-hmm. The last episode of this podcast was an interview with Stefan where he made it clear his goal all along has been, we build it here. We build it here. We reinvest in our people, in our economy, our local economy. Port Steady with 8 people can now compete with a business where there are a lot of people who are cogs in the wheel or cogs in the machine, where the business has a competitive advantage because it can deal with complex government regulations and complex business processes, all of these things that require, a ton of IT people installing SAP and Salesforce and all of this stuff, but 8 people getting done walking around here, not ever really seeing everybody all in one room. I could easily see this being a 20-person company or a 30-person company. That's really important. And the leverage, the freedom to innovate then. I was talking to Stefan earlier, the PS2, the 2-cup machine, no under-the-counter boiler, is up for safety and product certification in Japan.
Yes.
Okay. Earlier today, you were working on what it's going to take to actually submit the regulatory and approval package to whoever does this in Japan. Because you're not, because you've automated yourself out of so much of that day-to-day grind job, you can work on something which is strategic.
Yeah. Something that actually brings a lot more joy than moving around just numbers on a sheet.
Copy pasting, keeping track of stuff.
Exactly. It pushes its own paper.
Yeah, right. And that's also a theme because you're doing systems, and by that I don't mean, and you don't mean IT systems. It's just how do we be systematic so we can
Exactly.
grow? How do we systematic so that every time a customer contacts us, they have the same great experience?
Yes.
We reduce variability and improve the sort of fidelity to our brand, all of those things. You just to get back to your own personal and human values here, you were able to take how many weeks of paternity leave?
So I've right now I took off the month of August and I took off the month of November.
Okay.
And I have one more month that I'm in the future before it hits 1 year that I'm able to take off.
So you've gone through 2 cycles of stress testing,
Correct.
right?
Yes, and both time was we definitely learned and implemented a lot better. And we changed a few things. We even back-rolled a couple of things that we realized wasn't working.
Yeah.
Which was important. But we are...
Like what's an example?
Funny example was that I set it up for like, hey, we get a lot of emails. About maybe half of the support is emails and not just, bot interactions.
Like chat window on the website? Yeah.
Exactly.
Not just that, but email?
Especially from our distributors and partners and technicians who've known us, they'll send us an email.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, it'd be great if we can get at least get the baseline information through the email. And, it'd go through and kind of activate the bot through the email and send you emails back and forth.
Right.
And then I get a phone call on my personal phone from Josh, who's a technician out in California.
Shout out, Josh.
And Josh, love you. We worked very well together. And, we got to the point where we have a nice, rapport where we can talk like we're friends and not just, 2 people in 2 different companies.
He's got your cell and
He's got my cell number.
He'll blow you up.
And I'll pick up.
You'll pick up.
And he called me. And he's like, Derek, can you please make the email stop? And there was something in a tracking number that he sent that triggered it where it thought it was talking about how many stations you have in your pour steady. And it kept sending a broke loop over and over and over again. And don't forget, we have the 3-hour time difference. So I'm at home.
Yeah.
And I pick up because it's Josh. And I run to my laptop, baby in the Bjorn, going like, oh my God.
As far as New York State concerned, not on paternity leave.
Not on paternity leave.
No fraud.
Nope. No, this was right before paternity leave.
Okay.
So this was in October. And I run over and I immediately, and I thought all my testing passed. Someone's going to find a way to break it. And that's great. I love it when people break all my automations because that means I have a chance to improve it.
Yep.
And I run over and I'm like, I am so sorry. You know what? We're going to send you the SD card that you need. There's going to be no charge on this. We sent him a keychain as well as an apology because it was just like, yeah, it was scary for a second. I'm like, okay, so we're not going to do the automation on the email.
Let me go back to why Porsteady is a special company. The implementation of AI was done in a way that from the get-go respected and was consistent with these strong, deep relationships you have with customers. Josh, the tech, right?
Yes.
So the lesson here isn't implement AI, it's have a great business and amazing relationships with your customers and then implement AI in a respectful way. And then your customers will call you, right? Like if Josh hadn't known you, even if he had your phone number, if you hadn't had that rapport and that relationship, he might have just blocked Porsteady and done his best to get out of the relationship.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
And these are guys that are servicing Porsteady serial number 33. These are some of the oldest early adopters of Porsteady.
Yeah. They're really important.
They're really important. They're VIP, absolutely.
Yeah.
Although it's kind of funny, though, kind of thinking about these interactions right now and thinking they're VIP, they always get in, on time for a phone call. Before we started integrating intercom into our workflow, the ability to get on for a support phone call was it was pretty grueling because if I have an inbox with, 20 support emails, plus I have my day-to-day to, run manufacturing, a lot of times when I get to maybe email 5 or 6, it's thank you for reaching out. I attached a PDF document that I'll go over your issue. If you have any other issues, email me back.
Right.
That's something that Intercom now does.
Right.
So now if they have that issue continually and I see it, I now have the energy and I'm not burnt out to a point where I'm like, oh God, I can't answer this. It's you know what? Let's get on a phone call right now.
With Josh.
And I'll start with Josh or anyone and we'll start chatting. And we end up building a great rapport where the troubleshooting process is no longer kind of feels like automated, if you will.
Yeah.
It now feels way more human because I'm not trying to get off the phone to get to the next call.
It's counterintuitive in the sense that there are vast elements of this that are automated by intercom that gives you more cognitive and emotional bandwidth to be more human with somebody, right? And that's something that we'll play the rest of the live interaction after our discussion. That's something that people will hear. Maybe I'll put it in right here.
Because this builds up better trust with interacting with the bot.
Yeah.
Because it also just shows like, oh, hey, the bot got me to this. But by the way, this is a day of emailing back and forth now that we just did in a couple of minutes that I could have been on other tasks. Right.
That would have been a day of emails.
Yeah.
With the day in between some of them, you know.
Yeah. Depending on what time of day it is. You know, what we heard was the weight in your voice when you said to me, oh my God, that would have been a day. And when we sat and you talked us through that back in December, I remember seeing some light leave your face and some of that weight physically in your countenance because you were reminded of what it used to take to do that grind back and forth and back and forth and back and forth with so many people. So it's really important to note that just because somebody's busy and overwhelmed doesn't mean that they have job security, because burnout, it could ruin all of this for you.
Oh yeah.
So this got you to the point where you were able to enjoy the human interaction as part of your job. Your paternity leave, was it more joyful because it wasn't such a relief?
I didn't have to think, is support on fire right now? Because I'll take like a week vacation.
Yeah.
And I'll look at my emails like, one night and I'll just see all the support emails. And I'm like, I feel so bad. Like, thank you, Kate. I feel so bad that you have to answer all this by yourself.
Yeah.
And it's actually now to the point where like everything's moving so smoothly that, of course, working for such a great company too, that I'm able to work from home on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
So I can spend time with my kid.
Yeah.
And I have him like bouncing on my knee as I'm like, answering a couple of the intercoms, but mostly working on other projects.
We're gonna wrap up because I don't want to burn you out on interviewing.
Oh, I can talk about this for hours. In fact, right now I've been working on doing some automation tutorials, as well as just talking about my experience with systems, automations, entrepreneurship, and also being a dad on a YouTube channel that I started at DK Luos. So it's just at DKLUOS on
DK
YouTube.
Luos on YouTube.
Yeah, come check us out.
You post some of this on LinkedIn.
Yes, I will do a lot of the shorts, but then I'll have long forms on
LinkedIn.
YouTube. Yeah.
Continue the conversation with Derek over on YouTube at DKLUOS. Intercom has no idea we're doing this, talking about any of this stuff, but I've been really impressed by what I've seen product-wise. Also, you put it in probably the best possible light. Is it true that they told you that they really didn't anticipate intercom being used for a complex electromechanical machine deployed in every time zone across the world?
Yes, so I was over at Intercom's Pioneer 2025. This was after, I think it was in September, so like right after paternity leave.
Yeah.
And I go in and, I was kind of talking about my experience, and it's kind of a breakout section for one of them. We're all chatting. And one of the guys who was there was actually one of the original engineers who went to go work for Slack. And then came back, and he was kind of almost like a plant because he was just, plain clothes, not part of it.
Yeah.
And we were chatting, and I explained what we were doing. And he's like, wow, that's awesome. Let me know how that goes, because we were not planning on for that kind of level of support.
Yeah.
Because their original intention was a bit more towards e-commerce, or I think it's crypto.com uses intercom.
Mm-hmm.
And now they have it for not just hey, I want to cancel my subscription, but we're kind of giving them feedback and data. And I'm chatting with all these folks still at Intercom, telling them about our story.
Yeah.
So they can now see the next level of mechanical diagnostics.
Right. And that is what you talk about on your YouTube channel. You talk about it in the context of life, family, dad, right?
Yes. Oh yeah.
That's something I love about you, is it's always grounded in reality, right? You're not fronting that this is your entire life.
No, not at all. This is
all.
something that lets me live my life.
Yeah. We're going to wrap up. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Have a knowledge base in your head.
Have a knowledge base in your head, And most importantly, go outside and touch grass.
Touch grass. Amen.
Amen to that.
If you can automate copy paste so you can touch more grass,
Yeah.
that's good. I'm hopeful that AI, if this works out based on our own agency and empowerment, could actually decouple us from technology as we experience it today.
Oh, yeah.
Touch grass, take your baby outside so your baby can touch grass.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, thank you so much, Derek. This has been wonderful.
Thank you kindly. Thank you for having me on.
All right. Listeners, continue listening or stay with us because we're going to play the entirety of the live interaction between the Poor Steady Support Bot, not Bruce, the Poor Steady Support Bot, and some customers that are local here in New York. What's the coffee shop?
That was Kinship.
Kinship. All right.
Yeah.
Kinship Coffee. Check them out. Thanks so much.
Thank you. So this is going to take a little bit because they're booting and homing, but it began same thing.
What's booting and homing?
Unplugging and replugging the machine.
Okay.
So they went through, need support, same information before, got the serial number,
Yeah.
got their email address.
So this is all the stuff that
Yeah.
would have taken a bunch of exchanges and...
Exactly. For them to fill out a form or them just to ignore it. This kind of forces them to all do it and make an exchange. They agree to the term of services, describe what issue they're having. Poor City does not dispense water, but the buttons still light up when pressed. The dispensing pouch does not move. So then this would have been another email saying like, hey, did you unplug and replug the machine? And so it gave them all of that. Oh, and now they're typing. So it gives them the boot and home, troubleshooting power, and install guides.
How do you know they boot and homed, or you were just guessing that?
I just saw these little ellipses pop up, so they're typing.
Okay.
And then also, as I was saying before, this is following the guidance, which is their personality and tone. Right now, sentiment is neutral because we just got a support.
Oh, so you're getting a live readout of this.
Yep. The nozzle moved back a bit, but it looked like it got stuck trying to move side to side. It stayed in the center, it twitched a little, and then it didn't move from the spot. So,
X-axis.
issue with the X-axis or motor connection. Let's try an internal diagnosis. You'll need to open up the side with the screws. Look for the LED on the board. If it's showing red, that confirms a connection issue. Also, if ribbon cable appears loose, especially a flat ribbon cable seated. Thumbtails, can you tell me what color the light you see on the internal board, particularly the X motor LED? And then again, they have information all through here that'll show pictures and a video tutorial on what we're talking about. So this was all the grandfathered information that it's pulling from. And if they click on it...
That was the manual you would have sent them.
Exactly. I would have sent them this video. And then from this video, actually, I threw it in the GPT for a transcriber.
Yeah.
That pulled the transcript from the video that we recorded
and
made a walkthrough if they're more of a reader than a video watcher, depending.
Yeah.
Because on my generation, we want a video. Other generation...
I hate videos.
Exactly. So we...
I'm like, shut up, just tell me what to do. I can read.
So we have both. And we did it through the video, which made it a lot easier. So now they're going to be unscrewing it. They're going to get this. And this would have been me like either sitting here waiting for an email back or doing something else. And then this would have been like an hour or two exchange after the boot and home.
Do you know where they are physically?
PS 268.
I was thinking about time zone. Like, is this person at the end of their shift, beginning of their shift, or...
268 was Kinship.
Kinship, so they're right here.
Yeah.
They're in New York City.
Oh, hell yeah. So kind of boring because we're waiting for him now to unscrew the machine. But again, yeah, the fact that we have all this and it checks each time a message is sent. And then because he's been waiting if you need any other help. But it's just a little prompt to go like, hey, did you disappear? Mm-hmm. And then once it sends that prompt, now the counter goes in that if they don't send a response within 1 week, then it auto-closes the ticket. But usually I get in here and I check in way before that.
Right.
Yeah.
And the alternative was, to have these offsite services in Bangalore or whatever, or to do it in-house like we have been, which isn't scalable. It's just not scalable.
Yeah, it's also just the amount of burnout this saved.
Mm-hmm. Do you ship a toolkit with the thing?
No, you're expected to have your tools because we also don't sell. People who buy a Poor Steady agree that they have technicians or they have contact with technicians who should have the tools.
Okay. Are you talking to a technician or an end-use customer?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
Usually that's like when I talk about removing parts. I ask about like, are you a technician? Are you comfortable? Depending on how complicated it is. This is probably going to be a board swap because I don't like it sending out the individual motor controllers because they have one chip that's very fragile and you're working with like a $300-400 part. So I don't want them to break that one chip and it's easier to just send the whole, get a credit card on file, send the whole board. Mm-hmm. Right now we're at a CX score of 5 out of 5 and then that's giving the explanation on why it's still a 5.
Customer reported an issue with their pour steady not dispensing water to the agent, provided detailed troubleshooting steps which the customer followed and responded to, showing a cooperative interaction.
Yep, that's good. We're still at neutral sentiment. So if they say like I can't I don't know what's going on, I can't deal with this, then that would fall to negative.
Mm-hmm.
And then that would be, let me get you a person.
So they responded, all the ribbon cables appear properly connected. This motherboard does not appear to have parts labeled by anything other than the serial numbers and small alphanumeric codes. What I assume are the 2 motor controllers are plugged into blah and blah. Oh, okay, so...
Oh no, okay, I don't like this response. Yeah, but the lights, see, this one's a little off because he said the lights are working, which means that the plug would go right in. So it's not the best answer that I'll improve in the future. But this is, if I come across something like this,
yeah,
this is then I will interject, which also then trains the bot later on. So the bot's going to stop talking.
So now you're going into a prompt window, or a messaging window.
So I'm talking into the chat now.
Yeah.
Are you identified as different than
the bot?
Than the bot?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you anonymous?
He just said he's Derek.
Yeah, I like giving them a name because then that means that they're no longer going to be a bot. Nope. So this side would just show up exactly the way that the
bot does.
The bot does. Yeah.
Okay. So you could spoof the bot.
I could pretend to be the bot still, but I like letting them know that now they're dealing with a person. Mm-hmm. Because this builds up better trust with interacting with the bot.
Yeah.
Because it also just shows like, oh, hey, the bot got me into this. By the way, this is a day of emailing back and forth now. Right. That we just did in a couple of minutes that I could have been on other tasks.
Right. You got most of this done while I was using the bathroom.
Exactly.
I would still suspect that you were the bot.
Yeah.
I'm happy to assist you further. That sounds like bots to me.
That's because the bot was programmed by me. or rather, I was programmed by the bot.
What is it now? I don't know what even.
We are the same. We are a legion.
A snippet is like something canned.
Yeah. I should really make an internal thing I can copy paste. We had that on our previous things, but
that would have been a day of emails.
Yeah.
With a day in between some of them, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Depending on what time of day it is.
Thank you.
Up next, you'll hear me, Derek, and Stefan observe the Pour Steady support bot interacting with Kinship, one of their customers in New York City. Toward the end, you'll hear Derek decide to actually interject himself at a certain point where he wasn't comfortable with how the bot was handling things, and it was time to get human. Check it out.
So this is going to take a little bit because they're booting and homing, but it began same thing.
What's booting and homing?
Unplugging and replugging the machine.
Okay.
So they went through, need support, same information before, got the serial number, got their email address.
So this is all the stuff that would have taken a bunch of exchanges and...
Exactly. For them to fill out a form or them just to ignore it. This kind of forces them to all do it and make an exchange. They agree to the term of services, describe what issue they're having. Pour Steady does not dispense water, but the buttons still light up when pressed. The dispensing pouch does not move. So then this would have been another email saying like, hey, did you unplug and replug the machine? And so it gave them all of that. Oh, and now they're typing. So it gives them the boot and home, troubleshooting power, and install guides.
How do you know they boot and homed or?
And then also, as I was saying before, this is following the guidance, which is their personality and tone. Right now, sentiment is neutral because we just got a support.
Oh, so you're getting a live readout of this.
Yep. The nozzle moved back a bit, but it looked like it got stuck trying to move side to side. It stayed in the center, it twitched a little, and then it didn't move from the spot. So,
X-axis.
Issue with the X-axis or motor connection. Let's try an internal diagnosis. You'll need to open up the side with the screws. Look for the LED on the board. If it's showing red, that confirms a connection issue. Also, if ribbon cable appears loose, especially a flat ribbon cable seated. Thumbtails, can you tell me what color the light you see on the internal board, particularly the X motor LED? And then again, they have information all through here that'll show pictures and a video tutorial on what we're talking about. So this was all the grandfathered information that it's pulling from. And if they click on it...
That was the manual you would have sent them.
Exactly. I would have sent them this video. And then from this video, actually, I threw it in the GPT for a transcriber.
Yeah.
That pulled the transcript from the video that we recorded and made a walkthrough if they're more of a reader than a video watcher, depending.
Yeah.
Because on my generation, we want a video. Other generation.
I hate videos.
Exactly. So we...
I'm like, shut up, just tell me what to do. I can read.
So we have both. And we did it through the video, which made it a lot easier.
Okay.
So now they're going to be unscrewing it. They're going to get this. And this would have been like,
me like either sitting here waiting for an email back or doing something else, and then this would have been like an hour or two exchange after the boot and home.
Do you know where they are physically?
We do. PS 268.
I was thinking about time zone. Like, is this person at the end of their shift, beginning of their shift, or
268 was kinship.
Kinship. So they're right here.
Yeah.
They're in New York City.
Oh, hell yeah. Anyway, so kind of boring because we're waiting for him now to
I'm not
unscrew the
bored.
machine, but again, yeah, the fact that we have all this and it checks each time a message is sent, and then because he's been waiting if you need any other help. But it's just a little prompt to go like, hey, did you disappear? Mm-hmm. And then once it sends that prompt, now the counter goes in that if they don't send a response within 1 week, then it auto closes the ticket. But usually I get in here and I check in way before that.
And does an auto close ticket count as resolved?
No.
It does not count against our bill.
Yeah. It's only if like it depends on how the exchange went. Like if it was actually a do this and it fixes it kind of thing. Like if someone goes like, okay, yeah, that works. And then they go, great, do you need any other assistance? And if they don't respond from there, then it goes against our bill. But there still needs to be that positive sentiment, and we're at neutral.
And the alternative is, or was, to have these offsite services in Bangalore or whatever, or to do it in-house like we have been, which isn't scalable. It's just not scalable.
Yeah, it's also just the amount of burnout this saves.
It just does not grow with the business.
Nope.
No, they're probably finding a screwdriver.
Mm-hmm. Do you ship a toolkit with the thing?
No, you're expected to have your tools because we also don't sell. People who buy a Pour Steady agree that they have technicians or they have contact with technicians who should have the tools.
Okay. Are you talking to a technician or an end-use customer?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
Usually that's like when I talk about removing parts. I ask about like, are you a technician? Are you comfortable? Depending on how complicated it is. This is probably going to be a board swap because I don't like it sending out the individual motor controllers because they have one chip that's very fragile and you're working with like a $300-$400 part.
Okay.
So I don't want them to break that one chip, and it's easier to just send the whole, get a credit card on file, send the whole board. Mm-hmm. But yeah, right here, this is, right now we're at a CX score of 5 out of 5, and then that's giving the explanation on why it's still a 5.
Yeah. Customer reported an issue with their Pour Steady not dispensing water to the agent, provided detailed troubleshooting steps which the customer followed and responded to, showing a cooperative interaction.
Yep, that's good. We're still at neutral sentiment. So if they say like I can't I don't know what's going on, I can't deal with this, then that would fall to negative. Mm-hmm. And then that would be, let me get you a person. Okay, I don't like this response. But let's see. We'll see. Yeah, but the lights, see, this one's a little off because he said the lights are working, which means that the plug would go right in. So it's not the best answer that I'll improve in the future. But this is, if I come across something like this, this is then I will interject, which also then trains the bot later on. So the bot's going to stop talking.
So now you're going into a prompt window or a messaging window.
So I'm talking into the chat now.
Yeah.
Are you identified as different than
the bot?
Mm-hmm. Or are you anonymous?
He just said he's Derek.
Yeah, I like giving them a name because then that means that they're no longer going to be a bot. Nope. So this side would just show up exactly the way that the
bot does.
The bot does. Yeah.
Okay. So you could spoof the bot.
I could pretend to be the bot still, but I like letting them know that now they're dealing with a person. Mm-hmm. Because this builds up better trust with interacting with the bot.
Yeah.
Because it also just shows like, oh, hey, the bot got me to this. By the way, this is a day of emailing back and forth now. Right. That we just did in a couple of minutes that I could have been on other tasks.
Right. You got most of this done while I was using the bathroom.
Exactly.
I would still suspect that you were the bot.
Yeah.
I'm happy to assist you further this. That sounds like bots to me.
That's because the bot was programmed by me. or rather, I was programmed by the bot.
What is it now? I don't know. Even
we are the same. We are a legion.
A snippet is like something canned.
Yeah. I should really make an internal thing I can copy paste. We had that on our previous things, but
that would have been a day of emails.
Yeah.
With the day in between some of them,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Depending on what time of day it is. The You Teach the Machines podcast is co-hosted by me, Jeff Pennington, and my daughter MJ. Check out my book, also called You Teach the Machines, available in print and audio online wherever you get books, but ideally ordered through your local bookstore or on bookshop.org. If you find this podcast helpful, please share with your friends, leave a review, like, and subscribe. Music was produced by me and AI. I wrote the lyrics, then used a model to generate the rest. Audio production is by me, Jeff Pennington, using Zoom audio equipment and Audacity open source audio software for editing and mixing. Copyright 2026. All rights reserved. No portion of this podcast may be used to train AI without the permission of the creator, and we'd be happy to give you permission. So long as you come on the show.
There are ones and zeros, vectors and scalars. What do you see in that machine? I gave you my heart, my warmth, Snapchat. You chose a robot, now I'm alone.